Hi everybody, good morning. Kat here. It is Tuesday morning. I promised you an update on my bioidentical hormone therapy experience, and that is what you shall have. I have been on now about almost 5 years. It'll be 5 years in October, so it's about 4.5 years. I've got the door open back there so my four fur babies can come in and out, so I hope that's okay, not too distracting. Okay, so there's a couple of questions that I've had from people. I'm not a medical professional in any way, shape, or form. I am just a woman who's been through menopause, who is suffering with some really bad menopausal symptoms, and I was seeking relief from those, and I found that through bioidentical hormones. Now, I take them in different ways, which I'll get into in a second, but let me just address a couple of questions that came around through this. And the first one is from Diane C., who asked, why did I start the bioidentical hormone therapy? And I would have to say, you know, I was suffering from some of the symptoms. Probably about 44, 45 when I first started noticing that, you know, hubby and I would be sitting in church or something, and then I would get a little flush. And it wasn't like a hot flash, it was like a warmness. And it kind of came over and then moved through. And I thought, oh, that's kind of weird. I wonder what that was about. And I really didn't think too much of it. At the time, we were still trying to have another baby. It's a long story. I would start missing my monthly friend, and I thought maybe I was pregnant, and, you know, I was really looking forward to that being a positive. And in case you haven't already put it together, this is probably not a conversation that young kids are going to really want to, you know, be too interested in. Now, during this time, I was also starting to notice an increase in my weight, and it was the increased amount of fat was being deposited in certain places around my body. And so one of the biggest places was around my midsection. And I didn't know at the time that my body was trying to create a place that would manufacture more estrogen, because my ovaries were no longer going to be producing that. So it didn't matter what I did, I could not budge that way. I feel exhausted thinking about it, because I was living on salad and, you know, green smoothies and doing insanity workouts, and just my diet was so clean, it was not even funny. And it wouldn't budge. That wasn't even the problem. By that time, the hot flashes had gotten so horribly bad that I just couldn't even live anymore. It was really affecting my life. I was having them every 20 minutes, no joke, 24/7. In the meantime, hubby couldn't put his arm around me. My children couldn't give me a hug without setting it off. You know, having a lack of sleep for years on end, and, you know, is going to affect your mood. It's going to affect your depression, your physical activity. It's going to affect everything. And I felt like a crazy person. If you don't sleep, if you don't have a good night's sleep for like 3 or 4 years, you will be a crazy person. And I knew it was too much. Now, the OBGYN that I saw at the time, I would go to her and tell her my symptoms. I'd tell her, you know, that every place in my body is ridiculously dry. I can't stand these hot flashes anymore. Don't even ask me what a libido is, because I had no idea at the time. It's really hard to live that way. And she was really young, and I could tell she hadn't gone through this yet. And not everybody goes through the same types of symptoms, but these were mine. And she said, toughen up, deal with it. You know, you don't need hormones, you don't need anything. And I brought up the idea of bioidentical hormones to her because I had read about them many years before. Suzanne Summers had actually done a lot of work on and research on this subject. I knew a lot already, and I said, well, what about this? And she really talked it down, and she said, you know, you don't need that. It's not there's not enough known about side effects, and she really talked down bioidentical hormones. So I said, okay, I'll toughen up. And I tried and tried and tried, and it was just a miserable way to live until one day I looked up bioidentical doctors. I don't know why I didn't do it sooner than that. And I found the most wonderful. She is an internal medicine doctor. Now, from what I understand, a naturopath, if you have a naturopathic doctor, they could also help you with bioidentical hormones. An endocrinologist most certainly can. But my doctor is so amazing, and she is very knowledgeable and keeps abreast of any sort of new information. And she took me under her wing, and she did the blood work, the blood panel. She wanted to make sure that when she put me on bioidentical hormones, she was giving me exactly what I needed and replacing what I didn't have. So I would come to know a compounding pharmacy that actually mixes up compounding bioidentical hormones according to your specific. It's not a one size fits all, as some synthetic hormone therapy is. It's just like, here's the so many milligrams you're having, this should help. It's not like that at all. It's more easily assimilated in your body, right, than a synthetic hormone would be. And so I started taking those, and I want to say within 2 to 3 weeks, my life changed overnight. It seemed like it was like suffering that long in that way, and then going to have a good night's sleep. I slept like through the night. I had never felt so much sweet rest. It was like going to heaven and just having such rest and peace. It was just, I couldn't believe it, and I couldn't recommend it enough. And so I'm so glad that I found her. I am still with that doctor now. Those hormones that she had given to me were cream therapy. So some of them I rubbed on different parts of my body. And then there was another one that I took that you had to insert into your body. And so there was testosterone, estradiol, estrogen, and progesterone. And I did that for, 4.5 years or so, right? And it was great and wonderful, and I didn't have any hot flash problems. During the last year or so, I've noticed a little bit of a decrease in my stamina. As far as the testosterone seemed to be going down a bit, and my numbers started falling again. And I think, your body does adjust over time, and I think that my body was adjusting to the hormones that I was taking. And so I had to have another panel done. And my doctor has become very familiar and very much an expert at this point in dealing with the pellet and having great success with her other patients. And so she brought that up to me, the pellet therapy. And so getting all of the same hormones, but in a pellet, instead of having to remember every day to apply them in these different ways. And then I had to it was very much of a schedule, and the pellet therapy really frees me from that, because it gets inserted under your skin about every 4 months, 3 to 4 months, depending on how quickly your body uses. And from what I understand, somebody who's more active is going to run out sooner than somebody who's less active. With me, I'm moderately active, so we're going to see how long that is for me. I'm going to be taking my blood work again in 2 months, and we'll track and see if I need to insert another one sooner or not. I'm loving the pellet therapy so far. I do take an oral supplement for the progesterone. So I take that every night before bed, and it makes me a little sleepy, which is fine. It helps me sleep. But we do need to take that form. I guess that helps to balance out the testosterone, which is a female testosterone. It's been about 3.5 weeks since I've had the pellet in, and maybe 3 weeks. And I have to say that the testosterone level Definitely up. You know, it's just to be frank, you know, it's got a lot of energy and feeling good. And a lot of people are afraid of the side effects, right? As far as that goes, the benefits would outweigh any side effects for me. Now I'm going to read you a list of side effects that that you can find online. Possible side effects could be possible abnormal bleeding. Now on that note, I think what they're referring to is that for many people you have to adjust your progesterone level. And that is because when you raise your progesterone, you affect the lining in your uterus, and so you can have some spotting, and that might not be normal for you. And so for me, I would say it was really odd because after, you know, so many years, I want to say like 7-8 years or so, I haven't seen any kind of activity like that. And after I started the progesterone, yes, I had like 2 or 3 days where there was very light spotting, and that's all gone now. So that's probably what they're talking about. Mood swings, no, I haven't had any of those problems. Anxiety, no, I'm okay with that. Breast tenderness, no, I'm fine with that. Changes in hair patterns, what people are worried about is that they would either lose hair or they'll start to get a few more whiskers, you know, on their chin or something like that. I haven't really noticed anything like that, so I'm good with that so far. My doctor said at most you might see an extra chin hair, you know, and so that, I don't know, that may or may not have happened. I can't really tell the difference. So I'm okay. Acne and weight gain could also be a side effect. I'm watching that very closely. Of course, I'm very much in tune with my diet right now. I can say that with acne, there has been 1 or 2 spots that have acted up. Like maybe I got one that was really big over here one day, and I thought, I haven't seen something like that in years. From what I understand, it seems like the people who have acne issues taking these bioidentical hormones, and specifically the testosterone form of the pellet therapy would be people who had acne issues as a teenager, right? Because, and as adolescent, because basically what you're doing is adding in the hormones that you haven't had since you were an adolescent. And so once you add that back in, your body's going to do with your body what your body did when your body had those hormones, right? So it's going to fill in those gaps. And so you might see those issues pop up again. So those are things to consider, you know, how your body's going to be affected if you do take these. I myself would have to say, conclusion here is that after 4.5 years of being on these bioidentical hormones, I truly cannot say enough good from my point of view. And I've asked my doctor, how long can I take these? The answer is indefinitely, however long you want. And I will tell you that I don't see quitting anytime soon. I absolutely love them. I love, you know, what they're doing in my life. And I think that, you know, after a while your body might need adjusting. That's fine. That's why you do blood work. For me, my insurance, I'm lucky enough that it covers most of that blood work. And monthly, honestly, it's really not that much. You know, the pellet therapy runs the same amount as the cream therapy, and it was about $70 a month, you know, in total for everything, which for me is about, you know, 1.5 really good dinners out for me and my hubby. So why not, right? I think that covers an awful lot of information. I could just go on and on and on about the whole journey, but you know, that'll have to do it for now. And if you do have any questions, ask them below, and I will continue to make these videos and answer those questions. All right, guys, I'm going to let you go for now, and I will see you in the next video. Love you guys a lot. Bye.